Hey bro, so if you don't know this already, in South Korea there are thousands of teenagers who wake up every day and spend more hours doing schoolwork than spend being awake, literally. And many people look at these students and think, wow, they must have a crazy amount of discipline, motivation and focus. They must really care about school. I bet they take cold showers to get disciplined, and I bet they use a bunch of super advanced productivity hacks. But in reality, most of them just want to get out of school and join an esports team. A good proportion of them don't even shower at all. And the most popular productivity hack is to drink an entire ice Americano in between each subject. So how do they do it? What's their hidden secret to being so productive all the time? It's actually very easy. But before discussing that, I want to mention that if you want to get a lot more information and you want a way to support the channel, you can check out my Patreon. Just click the link in the description. It's that easy. What I found is that productivity is basically just a cycle. This is what it looks like. First, let's say you get motivated. Motivation makes you want to do work. Finishing some work makes you feel good, and that gives you more motivation to finish more work. Around and around it goes. The more motivated you are, the more work you do, the more motivation you get. So every time you think of productivity, just think of this cycle. Because even though it simplifies a lot of stuff, it's easy to remember this image. This explains pretty much everything. For example, how can you spend 3 weeks not writing an essay, but somehow 30 minutes before it's due, you turn into prime Shakespeare? It's because when the due date is 30 minutes, your motivation goes sky high, and therefore, cycle goes flash faster, and no amount of distraction, sleepiness, or boredom will be enough to stop. The cycle also explains why you can get so much work done when you have it due. This is because each time you cross something off the list, you're very obviously telling your brain, I finished something, I did a task, and that makes you feel good. Now that you feel motivated, guess what? Here's another task that is going to give you an even better feeling to cross it off. And that's why the most productive people almost always have a detailed to-do list. Because if you split up a big task like homework into each individual subject, and even better, split it into each individual task to do, not only is there less confusion about what you have to do, but you get to have that boosted motivation after crossing every little task. And it's important to know that if you don't have a lot of motivation, you can start up the cycle and get in running by using some self-motivation tricks. Here's a few. First, remind yourself what drives you, what you're doing, why you're doing this, and what the end goal is. Next, remind yourself what you enjoyed about your work. Third, challenge yourself to see how much work you can do in the next hour and race against the clock, as if you have an essay that is due in 1 hour. And you have it started because you know what they say. Procrastination is the best motivation. So just give yourself your own time limit. And finally, make work into a habit by doing it every day around the same time, by making it part of a bigger routine. For example, a lot of people have a morning routine. Wake up, shower, breakfast, hit the gym, or maybe they have an evening routine. Come home, change clothes, eat food. And if you just stick a work session into these built-in routines, then eventually it will feel weird not to do the work. And what better motivator is there than to not want it to feel weird? But having said all of this, you also don't have to start with motivation to get the cycle going. For example, if you wake up one day and feel really unmotivated, like you don't want to do anything, just start working anyway. It can even be just 1 minute of work, literally 1 minute. Maybe it's writing one sentence, maybe it's reading one paragraph, cleaning one piece of furniture, whatever it is. Once you finish that bit of work, you're done, and you can go back to lying in bed and doing nothing. But chances are, you probably won't want to go back to do nothing, because finishing that one task will almost always give you enough motivation to do the next task, and that motivates you even more, and before you know it, the cycle is writing at full speed. And that's the secret. Don't wait for motivation. Start working now and get motivated as you work. It's said that the students at Oxford University in England spend at least 40 hours a week studying, which means that even on those days with no motivation, they still have to wake up and go study for 6 to 8 hours, and they're not sitting in bed telling themselves, come on mate, you got to do several hours of revision today, because that's a really huge task they don't have the motivation for. Instead, what they actually do is wake up and think, right mate, I reckon I have a crack a bit of this work right now, ain't it? 12 hours later, somehow they finish 2 textbooks, written 4 essays, and colonized 78 countries. Because getting stuff done is what motivates you when nothing else will. But of course, the cycle can go on forever. Things like tiredness, confusion, boredom, anxiety, and distraction are all things that can make the cycle less and less efficient. The good news is that you can deal with all of these, and one way to tackle them all at the same time is to just take a break and go for a walk, especially if you go outside. A walk will give you some extra energy. A walk helps you collect your thoughts and plan out your next move. It gives you something to do, does not work, and calms you down. When your actions during a walk, you can take in all your surroundings and allow your mind to wander now, so that you don't need distractions later. But besides walking, here's how you can deal with each problem. Tiredness, ideally sleep, but a nice Americano will do. Confusion, have a to-do list, or at least come up with a plan of what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. Boredom, background music can help, but one thing that works way too well and pretty much never fails is switching up the location we work from, or even just face in a different direction. You can honestly work from even the most nonsensical location, but just be warned that people might look at you weird. It doesn't matter though, because it's fun. Anxiety. The best you can do is ask yourself some questions. What am I most worried about? Will this thing I'm worried about matter in the long run? And what can I control? For example, if you have a biology test coming up, you might feel anxious to study. Why? Because you already might fail anyway. Is this reasonable? No, because studying always helps. Will this matter in the long run? No, because the 2 hours you're spending now is not that much time in the grand scheme of things. And what can you control? Obviously, you can study, and even if you do fail, you can always just draw over that gray and change into an A. And lastly, distractions. According to many books, distractions are the enemy to deep productive work, and they also stop you from reaching a state of flow. The best way to stop this is simply to just take your phone, put it on silent, and put it in another room or just hide it somewhere. This is way better than just turning off your notifications, and I personally don't even miss anything, because no one calls me in the first place. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, I recommend that you subscribe, so you can get more stuff like this that will help you. Also, as I've said earlier, if you're interested in my products and you want a way to support the channel, I highly encourage you that you check out the link in the description. Just click it. It's that simple. Until then, have an amazing day.